Hello and welcome to the Don't Tail This podcast, a sports betting podcast that hasn't won a bet since the first game of the season. I'm your host, Al Manarino. With me is my co-host and disgruntled Commanders fan, Mr. Ben Murkison. What's going on, Ben? How did Thursday go for us?
Thursday went very, very poorly. Imagine like the worst day of your life and, something like that. That's how well our bets went. Just
And your team did not do great either.
No, it was a loss for my team. I will say my biggest takeaway from that game is that the Packers defense is incredible. I'd like to stay away from any lines involving an offense going up against that team moving forward. Yeah, I just hope, we obviously lost Austin Eckler out of that game. I'm hoping Jaden is okay because he took some bad shots. We had I think we had 4 or 5 starters go down, and then vice versa. I think their team had a couple of guys go down too. So just a sloppy, kind of dangerous day, but not great. Hopefully they can bounce back. But yeah, that was rough for us and for them.
Yeah, it was a tough game, totally for our bets. Our bets were terrible across the board, but I really blame the Commanders for the most part because of poor coaching. You had rookie of the week last week, Bill, who was just completely not used at all. 4 touches for the whole game. Jaden seemed kind of lost in the pocket and wasn't really able to do his magic as we thought he was going to be able to do with scrambling on that front line, including, Micah Parsons on the Packers?
Yeah, he's very fast. He
Yeah.
made it very difficult to try to get to the outside and scramble, which Jaden normally would be able to do against most defenses.
They talked about him every moment of that game.
I was so
It
pissed.
was the Green Bay Parsons.
It was basically like, they do for some sports games where they do like a picture within a picture. They might as well just have like a camera on him in the corner of the screen, like at all times.
Yeah.
Even if he's on the sideline, just sitting down. They should have just been showing him. That's pretty much what they were doing.
Well, all 4 of our legs didn't hit, so we are going to move on.
We're
to
almost going to
Sunday.
move on. I want to say one more thing. I forgot. Yeah, you talked about coaching. It definitely was. It's going to affect whether, I want to go with some Commanders lines moving forward too, because last year the big thing that we were able to do was go for it on 4th down a lot. And we kicked 3 field goals from 50+ yards, only converted 1 of those. Those were a lot of 4th and short situations that I thought it was really cowardly not to go for it and give him a chance. That's usually when Jaden is his best, on 4th down, needing to make something happen. So interested to see how that goes moving forward, but hopefully that was an anomaly.
Yeah, 100%. We'll have to keep an eye on that because the coaching was truly terrible yesterday. All right, let's move on to something that matters, and that is an incredible lineup of Sunday football games. We have so many bets to get to and so little time. Let's get right into it with our 1:00 picks. Who is your first pick?
I'm going to go straight to something that I know that you hate, and that's a receptions over. You might be okay with it based off of the player, though. It is from the Rams-Titans game, none other than Puka Nacua, over 6.5 receptions. 10 last week, ton of targets. He's just clearly the go-to guy on that offense, and nothing's going to change with that. I don't feel like it's even worth not picking his line until he somehow does miss it. But yeah, over 6.5 receptions, I think, is an instant play.
Yeah, I'm not even going to argue with you on this one. I actually had Puka's receiving yards. He went for a zillion yards last game. Apparently, he's the only receiver on the team. He had 130 receiving yards. If you compare that to the rest of the team, it's kind of not even close. The closest was Devontae with 51. His line is 82.5, which isn't really appealing to me. He can go right under that and still have a good game. So I like the receptions. I will definitely consider that one. That is
Thank you for your consideration.
Of course. Okay, I am going to stick with the receiver as well. A lot of receiving props. I was a big fan of. I'm gonna go with Breece Hall over 19.5 receiving yards.
Okay.
So we saw that the Jets looked completely different. Their new coach knows how to actually use Breece Hall, unlike the last coach and Aaron Rodgers, who forgot that Breece Hall is actually very good. His rookie season, he was this dual threat dual threat running back that was like a fantasy darling. And now with that first game, he had a fantastic game. With Fields, I think that's going to be an interesting game. I think they're going to be playing from behind, but they're going to have to kind of use all their tricks in the book to even come close to beating the Bills. So I'm going to go with Brees Hall receiving yards.
Okay. I mean, you love a running back receiving line. I know it's
Big
something
big
you love.
fan. And the line is only 18 and a half, and he had 38 last week. So
Yeah.
they're definitely using him. He's a a very good yards after the catch kind of running back. So I have faith.
Okay. I'm going to go back to something that, again, I don't think you love, but it is a starting number one running back hitting his over rushing line.
Here we
But
go.
this is one that smashed. So let's see if I learned anything. I think I did because I picked somebody that smashed his line last week. Jags versus Bengals game, none other than Travis Etienne Jr. over 54 and a half rushing yards. Do you know how many rushing yards Travis Etienne had last week?
143.
3. This would be significantly less than that that he's required to get, and he's going up against a Bengals defense that, even though they did hold the Browns running game in check, I don't think is one that you really are terribly scared of. I think the Jaguars are gonna be wanting to try to be balanced in this game, not just going and attacking through the air, so I see ETN being a good play here against that Bengals defense.
Yeah, I was shocked. I thought Etienne was done, but it looks like the Jags are somewhat functional now. Time will tell.
And
It could
they
have been, a fluke, but I really do I always liked Etienne even back in his college days, and I think it's a safe bet considering his number from last week.
they just traded Tank Bigsby.
Yeah, they have no backup. It's just him. All right. Ready for my pick?
Mhm.
All right. I'm going to go with another receiving running back and one who did not perform amazingly, but still ended up hitting his line last week. And that is Jahmyr Gibbs over 29 and a half receiving yards. So it's Lions, Bears, oh my. And I mean, the Lions can't be this bad. They played the
The
Packers, who
Packers.
apparently are very good. They did beat the everlasting shit out of your team.
Thanks, man.
So he barely hit his line last week. It was 31, but Gibbs is, he is a crazy weapon for the Lions. I do think he's going to have a bounce back game. So we'll see. But 29 and a half receiving yards for Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, that's actually one of mine as well. I did have Jahmyr Gibbs, so that's one I think we can safely play. I feel like, yeah, the Packers are not a team that I want to try to use as a barometer as far as their defense against like an offensive weapon. They shut down, two of the best offenses in football from last season, so I think Gibbs has a good bounce back, like you said. My next line is another receiving running back line. So we've got 49ers versus Saints. Now that we know that he is a healthy
Oh,
version of himself,
yeah.
CMC over 35 and a half receiving yards, 73 last week. And now we've got Mac Jones at quarterback for the 49ers. If he knows what's good for him, he will be checking down to CMC. And probably also just throwing to Ricky Pearsall every other attempt. but yeah, CMC over 35 and a half, I think is a real safe line. I liked his receptions over as well. I think it was just like 4.5, but I know you hate those and I already gave you one. So we'll go with the yards if you like it.
I love it. I'm a big CMC guy when he's healthy. I think the Mac Jones versus Spencer Rattler is going to be the game of the week. He almost said that with a straight face. No, I think it's going to be one game where we're just like, oh, what's happened in that game? Did CMC get his yards yet? No? Okay. We'll check on that in 20 minutes. So yeah, it's not a game I'm going to be watching. But hopefully CMC, he had 73 receiving yards last week, but that was with a competent quarterback. Mac Jones actually was throwing some pretty big passes to Brian Thomas in Jacksonville. So
Yep.
I could see Team C, kind of basically being the only offensive weapon they have. It's funny, if you go to receiving yards, he is the only option for the 49ers in terms of picks because the entire team is hurt. So they're going to have to go to him early and often.
Allegedly, any quarterback can succeed in that offense, I think is what you talked about last week.
I
So
did say that.
we'll see if that's true.
It's very true. All right. My next pick, I think we have a bunch of picks left, right? Yeah. So my next pick, I'm going with
As you laugh, that's never a good sign.
well, there's a couple I really like, but it's like kind of like out of left field, a couple of them. All right. I'm going to go with DeAndre
Take your
Hopkins
time.
over 18 and a half receiving yards.
Okay. Going back to the Hopkins, well,
Yeah. But you know what? I think
you're
we have
not
to go
going to go
safe
with
bet.
it.
I'm not. I talked myself out of it because I thought I had this written down.
You know, you did that last week too. You picked Hopkins, and
I
then
did it.
you
He hit,
pivoted
right?
to Justice Hill. He
I
did
know,
not
but
hit. So
after the comments that were made the other day, I think I have to go Derrick Henry over 93.5 rushing yards. I know
okay.
it's so many. He had 169 last week. They are playing the Browns, and there's a Browns defensive player. Let me pull it up because our mutual friend sent it to us. Grant Delpit, when asked how hard is Ravens Derrick Henry to bring down, he goes, not hard. So now that means Henry's going to go for 1,000 yards in this game.
Well, I think he's going to be like waterboying, basically, like throw the football to that guy and then just
Yeah,
demolish him.
just
just spearhead him, pick the football back
Henry's
up,
going to
and
be
then
the
run for a
one tackling
touchdown.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he did. The reason that whole thing came out, obviously, is Delpit like made a good, stick tackle on Derrick Henry, and so he probably should have just said like, "I made a good play" and let it lie, but he didn't. He just, had to say it's not hard to bring him down. So yeah, I like King Henry. I go back to that. Well, even if it was 100 yards, I think anything 100 yards and under for DK is a line
Mhm.
you just play.
It's going to hit. Like it's going to hit 100 yards at some point. Like this is a weird buy low situation for Henry because think about it. If he has 3 games in a row over 100 yards, they're going to move his line further and further up.
Yep. So yeah, we'll just keep rolling with him until that happens.
Exactly. Who do you got?
Well, no, so my lines are all there because I doubled up for Jameer Gibbs with
Oh,
one
yeah.
of your picks. So I think if you don't have any other lines, then I think the Jameer Gibbs over 29.5 receiving, we were both on that one. I think the CMC, I mean, I don't know. We agree with pretty much everything that we said. So I think which ones are you most confident?
I think I'm most confident right now in, well, we're gonna go Gibbs. I like your McCaffrey pick. I'm confident in Brees Hall. I really think he is now a bigger part of the offense. Like they actually remember he existed. I know I was wrong with Jacobs last week, but who knew that they were going to do the plan just to the other guy? I
Yeah.
didn't see it happening. I mean, they do have Braylon Allen. It could be the same scenario. He didn't get a ton of touches last week, though.
Yeah, I mean, the Jets backfield is a little dicey. But I mean, it is a low line. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, the Puka Nakua over 6.5, or he had 10, or the Travis Etienne over 54.5, where he had 143. I think either one of those would make sense too. But do you like, I mean, would you rather have the DK line in there for the over rushing along with the 2 receiving?
Oh, you mean
Or-
Henry?
yeah. So Derrick Henry over his rushing, or is that, even though we just said like you should play it because it's under 100, do you still not necessarily want to go that route because it is in the 90s?
What do you like more? Do you like Puka more or do you like Henry more? Because those are too high, are like lines that potentially could take the entire game to hit.
Yeah. I'm safe taking Derrick Henry. I think because he could take, a quarter to hit if he kind of plays like he did last week. I do think Puka is going to go over, and I think Travis Etienne obviously is going to go over that 54.5. If you want to go Brees Hall and you want to go DK for your 2 picks, then we'll take Gibbs and
You keep
CMC.
saying DK, but I know you're meaning Henry.
Yeah, well, I kind of refer to him as Derek King Henry, so I just do
Derrick
DK.
King
But
Henry.
yeah, I shortened it up. But yeah,
I want to say I like CMC, I like Gibbs, I like Hall, and I like Etienne.
okay, then let's go that route.
Okay, and maybe we'll just throw Henry and Puka in some other parlays of ours. All right, this is a pretty cool one. So this is 4-pick parlay. We have Brees Hall over 18.5 receiving yards, Travis Etienne over 54.5 rushing yards, Jameer Gibbs over 29.5 receiving yards, and Christian McCaffrey over 35.5 receiving yards. That is going to give us a 4-pick parlay of plus 1206, which is 20 to win 261.39.
We could use that. That'd be great.
That would be fantastic.
4 p.m. slate.
4
Let
p.m.
me
slate.
let me start us off with another running back, RB1, going over rushing, because you love these.
I do.
Broncos Colts. I'm not going back to the Jonathan Taylor well, however. I'm going to the other side of the football. RJ Harvey, his line is only over 31.5 rushing. He had 70 yards last week. The Colts didn't give up much running, or didn't give up much to the defense like of the Miami Dolphins last week, which is why that game was such a snooze fest. But they did allow 55 yards to Devon Achane. He's basically the only person that came close to going over his rushing line. So yeah, I'll take RJ Harvey over 31.5. More than doubled it last week, and I think he's got his name kind of in the running. I think by the end of the year for the Rookie of the Year candidate too. So I like Harvey.
Yeah, I like that too. I do have a pick in this game as well. I actually had two picks in this game. I was gonna go back to the well, even though it didn't hit last week with Bo Nix. I thought he was gonna have like a bounce back game with his rushing yards. However, I'm gonna go back to the well with something that actually hit that we didn't end up going with, and that is Tyler Warren over 43.5 receiving yards. He had 76 in his debut with Indiana Jones, or Danny Dimes as we know him as. I like a tight end, safe bet, go to small down, kind of receiver. 43.5, you can knock that out in 2 to 3 catches, which is great. And like I said, Warren, he's already, we're talking Rookie of the Year candidates. He can potentially be one of those as well. The Bowers of this season for sure. So yeah, 43.5 receiving yards. I'm a big fan of that player.
I love Tyler Warren too, so I like that one. Wasn't one of my picks, but I do back you up. I will say when we start getting drops, I'm definitely going to need us to have I love a tight end as your Mavis drop, because you're going to
Yep.
constantly be saying it as
love a
you
tight end.
reference. Love a tight end. All right, so my next pick is another player that we used last week in the only parlay that we actually hit, and that's Jahan Dotson. Chiefs Eagles, Jahan Dotson. His line somehow, I was expecting to come out and be at least in the 20s, but they've only got him priced at 10.5 receiving yards right now. He was a leading receiver for the Eagles in week 1, 59 yards. I do know that they're going to probably get A.J. Brown more involved for this game against the Chiefs, but 10.5 receiving yards is one of those where you can easily get it on one catch. So that's a hard one for me to not go down to.
Yeah, absolutely. We joked about it, and then we ended up putting it in the parlay, and that was one of the big legs that we needed. That hit really early too, I remember. And yeah, we have to, if we're gonna go back to the well, and we're gonna keep going back to these players that we really like, but also the books not having any faith in, or adjusting the line anyway, we have to capitalize on that.
Yep.
59 receiving yards in that Thursday game, and only 10.5. I was definitely expecting that to be double, at least maybe in the 23, 24 range. So to see it at 10.5 still is fantastic. I love that line.
Yeah, clear wide receiver 3, I think, for them. And yeah, you can catch a lot of that underneath stuff. I could easily see the same thing happening where he gets his first catch is more than 10.5, and we can just
Yeah,
move on.
and like you said, they're probably going to get Brown more involved. They kind of have to, because there's no Goddard this week. So
Yeah. Plus,
they're
you
going
don't
to have
want
to get
Brown like
someone
reading
involved.
encyclopedias on the sideline or something. Like he's got to get
Exactly.
involved in the game. He needs to be
Yeah.
part of the offense.
My next pick is actually from the same game, so we're going to have some decisions to make here. But I mean, I'll keep saying go back to the well. We're going to go back to the well. No Worthy. I'm going to take the guy who took Worthy out. I'm going to go Travis Kelce over 43.5 receiving yards. So it's kind of a no-brainer. I know he only hit 47 last week. He did have a long touchdown pass, which was part of it. What are they going to do here? The Chiefs are in a rematch, a Super Bowl rematch with the Eagles, who we know have a great defense. I mean, we are running low on receiving options. We're down to Marquise Hollywood Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster. They also have Tyquan Thornton, and then they're running back. So they got Hunt and Pacheco, who didn't do much in the receiving game last week. You got to go to your number one, and their number one at this moment in time is back to Travis Kelce.
I don't hate Travis Kelce. I do think he's going to want to, make up for taking out Worthy. He already has kind of apologized for his part in that. My only issue with going with him is he is the one that sold that parlay, kept us from being back-to-back winners. So
Yeah, but his line is lower now.
They did adjust his line a little bit. I've got another receiving target from that game for the Chiefs. You mentioned him, Juju Smith-Schuster, over 34.5 yards receiving. He did step up, and he had 55 last week. As you mentioned, there's no Xavier Worthy for the whole game, so they're going to have to kind of game plan a little bit. You could go Hollywood Brown, but I think Juju is the wide receiver 2 in that offense. I think he is somebody that could go over that line, and I think Mahomes is pretty good at finding him, especially when he's scrambling outside the pocket. There's a couple of other potential options in that game for receiving, but I think Juju's For me, he looks like the safest pick at just 34.5.
Yeah, we're starting to have like a really nice same game parlay with this one. I think we kind of I think we take this
It seems
I
like
think
it.
we take this off mic and we make a nice same game because I also really like Patrick Mahomes' rushing line.
Rushing
He
line,
had
yeah.
over 24 and a half. I'm really shocked I didn't even think about that last week when we were putting this game together. But yeah, 24 and a half. His he hit 57 in that first game with the Chargers. So I do like that line. However, not on my list. I'm actually going to go back to the well. And we're going
Oh
to go
boy.
all the way to the Arizona Cardinals game. And we are going to go back to Kyler Murray over his rushing line, which
Ooh.
is, I thought I had it up. I don't. It is 27 and a half. He had 38 last week. It is a integral part of their offense. I really do like it. And they are playing the Panthers. I was also looking at Bryce Young's line in this game because it's only 15 and a half. He ended up with 40, and they're kind of a mess, which really stinks for some futures. But going back to Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I do like Kyler Murray. I think that's probably one that we can continue to play, as long as it's hitting. I have another rushing option for the Cardinals in this game. Is it James Conner? No, it is not. It is the RB2 in that offense, though. Trey Benson, over 37.5 yards rushing. He had 69 yards rushing last week as the second option. I think Benson's a guy, it's a dual back system, I think, at this point. I think Conner and Benson are really interchangeable as far as the RB1, spot goes. And Benson seems to be more of the home run hitter. So yeah, 37.5 yards rushing, I think is like a low line that he could easily surpass week over week. And if that becomes more of a joint backfield, I feel like that line's going to climb. But yeah, that's one I could really see Benson kind of just getting in one of those one shots. And we love those. So yeah, Trey Benson.
Trey Benson. Who knew that Trey Benson would end up in a parlay? Wait, still might not. We'll figure it out. So my last one for for this slate, I'm going to the Patriots Dolphins game because obviously the
Because
Dolphins
no
are
fans will be.
horrendous. Yeah, no fans will be. The Dolphins are horrendous. So I'm not taking a Dolphins line. However, I am going to be taking Kayshon Boutte. 41 and a half receiving yards. He was wide receiver 1 basically last week for the Patriots. I expect a better game from Drake May. I expect a very bad game from the Dolphins. 41 and a half receiving yards. He had 103 last week. He outscored Derrick Henry, Hunter Henry, who had 66, and Stephon Diggs, who had 57. I don't see Diggs anymore as that huge yardage guy, but I do see him as more of a red zone threat. Boutte is going to be getting the yards at this point. So 41 and a half receiving yards for Kayshon Boutte.
Yeah,
It could be
can't argue that.
Boutte, but
Anybody,
I'm calling Boutte.
I'm not correcting you on that one just because I'm not 100% confident, but I'm pretty confident. Well, I guess I am pretty confident it's not Booty, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I do like that one. I mean, I like anybody that basically more than doubled what their line is for this week. So I like him along with a couple of the other guys that are well over. All right, so if those are our picks, you did mention we've got a ton of Chiefs and Eagles, so I know we don't want to throw them all in there, but I do think there's a couple of good options that we could pick. I really do like the RJ Harvey over 31.5 yards rushing. That would probably be my top from the 4 that I gave.
Okay. I like it. I like the line. I'm a big RB2 guy, especially when it's a rookie proving themselves. It's going against the Colts, who played the worst team in the league, potentially. So I think they'll have a more success rushing against them. So I'm fine with Harvey.
Okay.
So,
John
but I
Dotson.
will say, do you like Harvey over Warren?
Not necessarily. I kind of want to. Well, I think I want to have Warren in there. I was gonna suggest the RJ Harvey and the Jahan Dotson lines, and then Warren. I really do like going back to again. So then it was just a matter of a fourth, I think.
Okay. Out of the 4, what do I really love? Because I do like Dotson. I like Warren. I like Harvey. I think I'll probably keep Kelsey off the board. I'll put that in that same game parlay that we're putting together apparently for the Chiefs Eagles game.
Kyler Murray over rushing.
Yeah, let's go Kyler.
Yeah, I mean,
if we're gonna go back to the well, I like
damn well. I do like. I do like taking a running quarterback that already hit his line the first week. I feel better about going back to those than I do some of the guys that screwed us. Although, it could be inverse. Kelsey could have the game of his life, but we'll see.
Yeah. And we'll put him in
He'll
that
get somewhere.
imaginary imaginary separate bet.
It won't be imaginary. It'll actually happen. It's just
It's
not
gonna
officially on
happen.
the
All right.
account.
So RJ Harvey over 31.5 rushing yards. Tyler Warren over 43.5 receiving yards. Jahan Dotson over 10.5 receiving yards, and Kyler Murray over 27.5 rushing yards. Is this the first time we've had 2 picks from the same game in a parlay that wasn't
Uh,
a one game, like a Thursday night or a Sunday night?
it's possible, but I don't think it'll be the last time either way.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
We're looking for lines. We're not necessarily looking for, if we found 3 great lines from one game, we'd probably throw it in there, but it would be insane. This is a 4-pick parlay that is plus 1151.20 to win $250.38, which
Ooh, who gets the
is
38 cents? Do we have to
we'd
split
have
that
to
up?
split it. Yeah, we'd have to maybe get some hay pennies involved.
Gotcha. Interesting. Sunday night football.
Sunday night.
Sunday night. Been waiting all day. Is that the correct one?
No, it's waiting all day for a Thursday night.
Damn it. Anyway, so my first pick is another guy that blew his lines out of the water. Mr. Bijan Robinson, over 26.5 yards receiving. He had on the money 100 yards last week in the season debut. I love that line. I also kind of just did a sidebar of also 3.5 receptions. He had 6 last week. So either one of those I'd be fine taking, but the yards just seems insanely low for somebody of Bijan's talents.
So I think we're going to have a lot of picks that are same for Sunday night, obviously, because we only have one game to go into. This was on my list. Not only that, but I wrote Bijan over 26.5, and then in parentheses, I put ladder. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think this is, if we're going to pick a ladder pick, this would be it. I mean, wow, 100 receiving yards for the running back in the first game of the season. I think they're starting to understand with this coaching staff, with Penix, that there are actual threats on this offense. Mooney's back too, which could take away some of his yardage receiving wise. But Mooney is back. They have London. Pitts looks like the guy that everyone wanted him to be like 3 seasons ago. So hopefully that continues. And I'll get into some other picks potentially here. So great pick. That was on my list. I'm going to stick to the same boat. I'm going to flip it to the other team, though. I'm going to go Aaron Jones over 18.5 receiving yards, 44 last week. We talked about it last week,
I
but
think it was on one catch.
I know, but we talked about it last episode that, JJ didn't get comfortable until, the second half and like late in the second half. So I expect more from McCarthy, and I expect Jones to have more involvement. And it seems that McCarthy, he has legs. So I think he's going to want to scramble more, and then he's going to throw it to the outside and let Jones take care of it. 18.5, he can knock that out in 2. He ended up knocking out his thing in 1 at the last game with a big 44-yard catch. He threw a huge deep ball to him too, didn't he, at one point?
Well, the touchdown
Which ended up being a drop. But so
Yeah.
he's obviously using him as a target. 18.5, I like that.
Yeah, they took 2 deep shots to Aaron Jones. One of them obviously went for the touchdown, and that's what got his line over. I'll go back to back here because you said the name of 2 of them. One of them was Aaron Jones. I did the opposite side of that. I went for what his actual job is, which is as a runner, over 39.5 rushing yards. He did only have 23 last week. They did drop the line down significantly from where they had it week 1. I know that they're splitting carries now with Mason Jordan, but
Jordan
Just-
Mason.
Jordan Mason, interchangeable names.
No, please call him Mason Jordan from now
Yeah,
on.
Mason Jordan's
love
better. He'll love that when he listens. But yeah, I think Aaron Jones is a guy that they want to still have a part of the run game, and does have the big role. I just don't feel like they're going to want somebody to take over that backfield entirely. They want to try to keep more of a 50-50 split, and I think 39.5 is low enough for me to feel comfortable going back to Jones. I do think that maybe the defense of the Bears is a little bit better. And we'll see as the season kind of goes on than what he's going to be facing with the Falcons. But so I did feel okay about Aaron Jones at the lower rushing line. And then Kyle Pitts, as you talked about, he does seem to be the guy that everybody kind of wanted him to be. I did think that working with, Michael Penix at quarterback was going to be good for him. I think he finally has a quarterback that can utilize him. He had 7 receptions like last week on 8 targets. He was catching pretty much everything. He had 59 yards receiving. So I liked his line at just 35.5 yards receiving. I think that's a safe line that he should be able to go over. Essentially, it's on all the targets. I mean, this is a team that loves to throw. Michael Penix had 42, passing attempts in that week one. So I'm more on any receiving, lines for the Falcons than I am anything with their rushing
Mhm.
attack. So yeah, I think Pitts is another safe play that you could put in there.
I will say Pitts's, reception line is staring at me like the Green Goblin mask. Over
Look
three and a
at you.
half is plus 128.
And he had 7. And he
He
did
had
just have
7.
7.
That's where they're trying to get you, like, "Come on, he had 7. You
Yeah.
should hit the you should hit the button." Do you like his reception line over his receiving line, or do you like his receiving yards line?
I mean, that's one of those I think is interchangeable, kind of the same as I had with the Bijan Robinson line.
Mhm.
I will say, like, in the game last week, they were in a tight game with the Bucks, and a lot of that kinda came, I think, on those last couple drives, but I think it's gonna be another tight game with the Vikings, so I could see it being a similar game script for them. So I'd be fine with either one, whichever one you would feel more comfortable about taking as receptions or as yards if we do decide to go with that line.
Yeah, apparently it's like a bowl rematch between Penix and McCarthy, so there's, some an
Lo
extra layer of,
Love that. I'm sure
yeah,
that'll be what they wanna talk about.
exactly. An extra layer of, craziness to attach to that game. Um, so I'm gonna go back to rushing, since you were on the rushing. I'm gonna go McCarthy over 17.5 rushing yards. So, we saw in the beginning of that game, the Vikings game, he looked lost. It almost seemed like it was his first NFL start, which it totally was. He ended up with 25 rushing yards, and it wasn't really towards the end where he was able to escape the pocket in a way that Jaden wasn't able to do on Thursday, just throwing that out there, and was able to get some positive receiving rushing
It was the
yards.
Packers. Can we just continue to say the Packers are a problem?
Yeah, they are a problem. So yeah, McCarthy 17.5 rushing. Also, Penix 8.5. He had 21 last week. I like that too. They're both
Yeah.
good.
I mean, speaking on Michael Penix, he's my last line, but not his rushing line. I'm actually love his passing line this
Hmm.
week. Kind of talked about how they aired the ball out, but over 229 and a half. He had 298 yards passing last week. The Vikings just allowed 210 yards to Caleb Williams, a lot of which came on that first drive where Caleb actually looked very capable before they kind of locked him down. But I do think that in a tight game, the Falcons feel really confident airing the ball out. So yeah, 229 seems low for Penix, 229 and a half. Almost a 300-yard game in week one. So I would feel good about Michael Penix overpassing.
Not bad. I like it. I'm not passing lines always scare me, but as you already backed it up with science, he had almost 300 passing yards last game, and they if they can't get Bijan going, then it's going to be balls in air basically. My last one, I think it's the last one, even though I threw a couple extra ones in there. It's just our boy Ray McLeod, one of the best names in the league. 26 and a half receiving yards. I know Mooney's back. I know they have a lot of weapons. I still think Ray is, that kind of slot big play, one shot. This is a one catch line hit if I ever seen one with Ray. And if they want to come out crazy and explosive, and especially if they can't get the run game going with Bijan, then I can see them airing the ball out, and Ray is that, quick attack, potentially big yardage guy. So I like Ray.
Yeah, Ray is a guy that we used a lot last year. I think
We did.
typically successfully. So
Yeah.
not
And it was with like Kirk Cousins too. So
true. I
much
mean,
better with.
we just threw out a lot of receiving options for the Falcons, I will say, so that just kind of doubles down on my Michael Penix overpassing because somebody's got to be getting the guy these balls.
That's true.
But yeah, so which ones we feel most confident about? I know we both overlapped the Bijan Robinson over receiving, so
Yeah.
I feel like you want to take the receiving yards on that one. It was only 26 and a half.
Big
I like
fan.
that. Maybe we should just do it all Bijan. So we take his over receptions, over receiving yards.
I don't think
Honestly,
the odds would be that great.
wouldn't be that dumb
You'd
though.
have to do negative correlation, so you'd have to do, like, over
Yeah.
receiving, under rushing, because then
Yeah, I'm not
that
gonna
would
do
give you
that.
the big.
Yeah. So I like that line a lot, and I like either Penix or Kyle Pitts on my side of things.
Yeah. Which Kyle Pitts, though? Do you
I
want
think
the juice, or do you wanna stay safer with the yards?
was there's a significant difference in terms of what the
Yeah,
odds are.
Over 34 and a half receiving yards is minus 114. Over receptions, over 3.5 receptions is plus 128.
Give me the over receptions because I'm kind of either or on those.
Cool.
I'll take
I
the
like that
plus.
a lot as well. If we're gonna go Vikings picks, I think I do like the Aaron Jones receiving yards. It is only 18 and a half. I
Yeah.
know we've had mixed luck with it, with those props, but we are already going Bijan. I kind of like doubling up with the two dual threat running backs. I'm not a fan of his rushing yards. I know you explained how they want him to stay involved. I can see a scenario where they're like, well, Mason is obviously more explosive, and we're going to go with him, and then we'll do short down, uh, short yardage with Jones, like end zone and stuff, and then he still might end up being a wide receiver option in that case. So I'm not crazy about it, even though it is only 40 and a half. I can see that number going down, down, down if Mason continues to, um, show that he is a RB1. And he was the guy who took over CMC's role, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think he was, and then Isaac Guerrero also did. I think because Mason maybe got
Mace
hurt. I
got
feel like
hurt. That whole team
every
got
single
hurt.
running back got injured last year for them. So yeah, they had a
Every
bunch of guys
player got
cycle
hurt,
through
and it seems like the trend is continuing.
for sure. Yeah. Look at the training staff there, or something with the conditioning. I don't know what's going on in San
Something's going
Francisco.
on. All right, so
But
we
yeah,
have Robinson, Jones, and Pitts so far. Do you like any other Vikings, or do you want to go with this third Falcon pick?
I, I don't care about which one we kind of go with. It's just the best line for me.
What's your favorite line? I'll give you mine, but it's not going to be what you were thinking.
So it's not the JJ McCarthy rushing.
It's not. It is
Okay.
the other Viking pick. I do have that. The other line that's staring at me in the face is the Penix over 8.5 rushing.
Oh, really? Okay.
He had 21 last week.
Yeah, yeah. He did. I love Penix. Obviously, I think
But you like the passing pick.
I did like his passing yards, but I don't know. I want to leave you on this one because
Well, let me give you the four that are left. So we have
yeah.
JJ over 17.5 rushing, Penix over 8.5 rushing, Penix over 229 and a half passing, and Ray over 26.5 receiving. So out of those four, which one do you feel strongly about? I will go with you. I feel like you've given me a few this episode.
Well, it wasn't even. I don't think it was one of your official lines, but the rushing line for Penix does seem really low.
Mhm.
So I would roll with that.
Yeah, and I think you're trying to make up for the not picking the Geno Smith line the other day.
Yeah, a little bit. There's still more time. Monday football is coming up. We might be able to throw him in there for the rushing line later.
100%. And unfortunately, we're not going to be doing any Monday picks like we usually do because the lines are just not there. But we'll get into that in a second. Let's finish this up for the Sunday night game for Sunday Night Football. We have Bijan Robinson over 26.5 receiving yards, Aaron Jones over 18.5 receiving yards, Kyle Pitts over 3.5 receptions, and Michael Penix Jr. over 8.5 rushing yards. We are really, really rooting for the Falcons in this game. Did not see that coming. Plus 1,400 because of that because of the Kyle Pitts juice, which I never want to say again. 20 to win 300.
Oof, that'd be a nice one to hit. I feel like
That
that
would
would
be
make up for
fantastic.
make up for how shitty last week went after Thursday.
Yeah, but let's hopefully hit a couple of these. That would be the best. So, as I mentioned, Monday night, we have two Monday night games, and normally we would put those Monday night picks in this episode. However, we're not seeing a ton of lines on DraftKings. We are seeing them somewhere else. Maybe we can just quickly go over some of the some
Yeah,
people that we're targeting, but not necessarily make a parlay. That first game, the Buccaneers and Texans game. The ones I was looking at, I'm sure you probably have a couple of these or maybe one of these. I really like Egbuka over 49.5 receiving yards. He is clearly the wide receiver 2 and may end up being wide receiver 1 by the end of this season. No offense to Mike Evans, who is still great, still explosive. We know Godwin's coming back, but my God, this dude is good. I mean, I already have I have a rookie of the year future on him that I did preseason. I think it was only $5, which that is unfortunate. Wish I threw more on his. His line has gone crazy. Even before the season started, there was a big jump, and now since his last game where he just was just dominant, Did you hear about him calling his home run or home run, calling his game-winning touchdown to Evans?
No, I did not.
Yeah, apparently before the snap or whatever, before that final drive, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna like swan song this thing," and like basically did it. Like he caught a bomb from Baker for the game winning touchdown. 67 yards his first game. His line's 50.5 now. It's already gone up since last night. Yeah, I expect him to have a huge game against the Texans, who don't look great, even though they have a great defense. Again, a potential ladder candidate too. This guy is so explosive.
Yeah, I do like that one. I had some of the lines that I do want from this game, mostly on the Texans side, were not available to me, but I do have two of the Bucks that I did like. Another wide receiver that I like for the Bucks. He's just somebody that's always involved because of that familiarity that he has with Baker Mayfield. But old college buddy Sterling Shepard, over 19.5 yards receiving. He had 3 catches for 39 last week, including like a 19-yard catch. He was targeted 6 times, so he was tied with Ibuka for most targets, underneath Mike Evans, who had 8. They both had 6. He's just a guy that Baker has a lot of, camaraderie with, a lot of trust in, kind of knows the timing. So he always seems to be right around, what his line is. And then I love Baker. So my line for Baker that I would be on at plus 105 is 2 passing touchdowns. He had 3 last week
Interesting.
against the Falcons. I think he's going to have another big game on a Monday Night Football stage. So yeah, I like Baker for 2 passing touchdowns. The Texans side of things was the one that was kind of getting me. Like Higgins was a guy. He was the only person from that game, or that leg of parlays that we did last week that actually hit us over. So I'd like to go back to him, but I was checking, DK FanDuel, Bet365. For whatever reason, he wasn't listed as an option yet, and then a couple of the other guys on that Texan side of things really weren't available. So that's why we're kind of holding off on that one. Did you have anybody else from that game?
Yeah, I had both quarterbacks rushing. So Stroud, well, because again,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's it's the it's the wide receiver question for the Texans. It's just it's a question mark. It's a
yeah.
team that's obviously struggling offensively, and Stroud ended up with 32 rushing yards his first game. His line's already gone up. It was 9.5 last night. It's 10.5 rushing, and Baker's line went up as well. No, sorry, Baker's line remained the same. Baker had 39 rushing yards last game, and it's 15.5. So basically half of that. Um, you know, I think that has a lot to do with both, a kind of terrible game from Bucky. We're hoping for a bounce back. He is someone that we usually include in our parlays, but we just don't trust him at the moment after that first game. Um, and Baker he's a bruiser, dude. He just not only does he run when he needs to, but he'll smash into a guy. Talking about Waterboy, he literally is the Waterboy.
Yeah. I mean, I do love Baker, especially like on Monday Night Football stage. I think he usually, comes to play, brings his best.
Yeah.
So
I
I
mean,
like that.
we can make a parlay out of the ones we just picked. Do you like any? Do you like two out of the ones you picked?
I mean, yeah, I do love Baker Mayfield over 2 passing touchdowns.
Same.
And then yeah, and I mean, I honestly feel good about Sterling Shepard going over his receiving line again too. But I mean, yeah, I mean, if you want to kind of throw one out there, we'll put an official for both Monday night games like on the social
Yeah,
medias. So check Twitter, check Instagram for
for
our
sure.
actual.
Yeah,
Might be a little bit different.
we'll follow the Instagram for the official Monday night slips. So if you're listening to this and you want to hear or you want to get those Monday night bets, we will post them Sunday night. So make sure you're following either the Twitter or Instagram at
Both is good.
Don't Tail This. Both. You'll get the same information, but just delivered in a different way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is our week 2 Sunday bets, official bets. And then, like I said, follow us on Instagram and Twitter to get exclusive Monday night bets. There are 2 Monday night games. One of them starts at 10, which
Yeah.
that sucks for people who have
Chargers
jobs.
Chargers Raiders is going to be deceptively fun, I think too. There's a couple
I
of lines that I
know.
do love there, but I also same thing kind of want to see all of them available to them. They're withholding a lot of the Raiders side of that. There's a lot of the Chargers lines that are available that I think we could do an all Chargers pick, but yeah, we'll
100%.
get that one official one together.
Absolutely.
That might be like a thing moving forward too. Is if this continues to be a thing where some of these lines aren't available early enough, then we'll always just kind of go through and do Sunday Night Football, and then you'll look for the socials for Mondays. We'll see.
Exactly. And we kind of already gave you a free tease of the first Monday night game with some of our picks. So
You're welcome.
you could parlay those together if you want to throw 6 picks together. So that's going to wrap it up for our week 2 Sunday picks. Once again, Monday's picks will be on our social channels. Tune in next week when we will recap week 2 and we will give you Thursday night football's parlay. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you email us at don'ttailthis@gmail.com with some of your wins or your losses or your rants against Mark Andrews. He is on our official Never Again list, and I'm sure there will be other players added throughout the season for that. So make sure you check our Instagram as Ben is curating our Never Again list. And thank you so much for listening on behalf of myself and Ben. Remember, as always,
don't tail this.
Don't Tail This is produced by Al Manarino and Ben Berkeson. Edited by Al Manarino. Theme song by Lucas Jones. Follow Don't Tail This on Instagram and Twitter at Don't Tail This. We are committed to responsible gaming. Please visit www.rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available. Never bet more than you can afford to lose. And always bet responsibly, which of course means don't tail this.